Well, Mr. President, it's good to see you. And as you know, everyone who's watching this was hoping to see you in Manchester. Would you like to say hello to the thousands of people who are going to hang on your words for the next few minutes?
I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that I cannot be with you today. The reasons are, first of all, we will have on the opening of the Soccerex in FIFA two big meetings. The first one is the international match calendar, and linked definitely also on the question of Qatar, when it would be good to play. And the second one is the debriefing of this wonderful World Cup together with our friends from Brazil. So enjoy Soccerex, and my best wishes. I'm sure you will have absolute outstanding and interesting deliberations.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving us the debriefing first. This is perhaps your first major interview since the success of the World Cup.
Absolutely.
And our first chance to hear from you, your impressions of what turned out to be a successful World Cup. How worried were you before the World Cup about some of the problems there, and how were you surprised, or were you just satisfied that it turned around so spectacularly well?
I was not worried about the construction of the stadium, because it's now my 10th World Cup working for FIFA, and it has always been a problem in the last minute to arrange something. So with the stadium not, but there was still the question mark if the social unrest will start again, as it was the case during the Confederations Cup. But it was also my feeling and my prediction, once the kickoff is done, then the nation, Brazilian nation, football nation, they will be fully in the game. And this has happened. It was a great, great and bright World Cup.
Yes, it was. And it was interesting that Brazil as a nation stayed with it even when Brazil were eliminated. We've had great World Cups in the past which have come to great climaxes, Mexico 70, Argentina 78, and Germany winning at home. But you know, the Brazilian people stayed with their beautiful game to the end.
This was a surprise, I have to say. But as they have lost, really, with such a high score, there was no question. It was not questionable who was the better team. I think if the result would have been by penalty kicks or whatever, that the reaction would have been different.
Yes.
But I would say the result has shown, yes, we have a good team, but it's not good enough. And then the Brazilian population, they went into the last matches, third and fourth place, and semi-final and so on.
Yes.
It was great.
It was a carnival on and off the pitch, as it turned out, wasn't it? Why do you think there was such a burst of great, exciting football from the start of the tournament? Normally it's careful, and here we had this intensity of the game. The game played at a higher level of speed and accuracy and ability and strength and power than we've seen before. What happened there, do you think?
Absolutely. I couldn't identify better how the game came. But we have to give compliments to the technical director, the coaches, because when they started now to play, they wanted to win. And in the past World Cups, we have witnessed they didn't want to lose. And then this has given to this World Cup from the very beginning on a spectacular issue, going for goal and scoring goals, and all that. That is football. Football is attacking. You have to take risk and not to wait. And this was great. This was great, and we have seen that the players were well prepared. Technically, they are all artists now. And there is 11 players. You have seen the goalkeepers, how they participated in these games. Yes. And it was just great. It was great. It was, my opinion, it was the best World Cup I ever met concerning the quality of football, and also the ambience which has been created in all the cities, in all the stadia. Really, it went under the skin, I would say.
Yes, it was tingling to watch, wasn't it? And if we refer to it now, perhaps it's become the 11-man game. You talk about, as a former goalkeeper yourself, the involvement of the goalkeeper in the play and the construction.
I was a goal scorer, not goalkeeper.
I thought you played in goal at the time.
No. I was number 9. I was going for goal.
The number 9s are bigger than you and I now, aren't they? Do you think this will carry over into the club and the national team football from this World Cup? For example, the Premier League has just started with a great burst of goals. Do you see the evolution of football in that way?
I think this World Cup has put, I would say, the bar very high what football is concerned. And when looking now at the start of the different leagues, I do not think they have already reached the same level. We are waiting now. I think all big leagues in Europe, they have started, but I haven't seen such thrilling matches that we have had in Brazil. But I'm sure there have been a lot of changes, also changes of team managers and players. And I think they must adapt themselves in the team. And I'm sure that in 1 month's time, club football in Europe and in the other continents, but especially in Europe, will be again at the highest possible level.
Yes, because the Champions League, we're not fully into it yet, but it's not started spectacularly, has it? It's started in its old format in a way.
Yeah.
And this is perhaps the peak of the European club game. And perhaps they need to catch that enthusiasm and that drive. It's the intensity, I think, don't you? The intensity of the game.
Yeah, that's it. And now the Champions League will start with the 32 teams in 8 groups by 4. And now we will see if now they will adopt the same principles set in the World Cup, the round robin now to go to win. And this would then give, again, this intensity of football that public is asking for and television is asking for. Yes.
Can I look forward to your own role in football from here on? We do have the elections for the presidency coming. The question of your availability, but I believe not yet candidacy for another 4 years. How do you feel about those elections at this point? How strongly do you want to carry on, and what would be your mission in that period?
You see, a mission is never finished, and my mission is not finished. And that's, I have told them to the FIFA Congress. I have told to the congresses of the confederations, and then I got through the last the Congress in St. Paul, in Sao Paulo, not only the impression, but the support of the majority, the huge majority of national associations asking, please go on, be our president also in future. And now I would make an official declaration, definitely in September now when we have the executive committee. I will inform the executive committee. It's a question of respect also to say then to the football family, yes, I will be ready. I will be a candidate. You know that now we have a special regulations to become a candidate, and you have to fulfill a lot of conditions. But I will announce it then officially at the occasion. It is 23rd and 24th of September this year.
Oh, well, thank you for telling us that. Can I ask if you were surprised that Michel Platini indicated he would not contest the election?
I was not surprised because in a private conversation I have had with Michel Platini before, during and after the World Cup, he has confirmed that he would not himself would not be a candidate, but he was envisaging, saying, but there will be somebody who will be your contender, that will be contesting you. So I have no other comments to do that. But for me, it was not a surprise because he told me, and I think he's a reliable man when he's speaking not only colleagues to colleagues, but friends to friends, even if we are not always in the same idea in football, by saying that he will not stand. So I was sure that he will make this decision.
I was interested that he said that he wasn't anti-FIFA, but pro-UEFA. What do you understand from that nuance?
Well, listen, it's a nuance. I think the FIFA, the football family, international organization called the FIFA, and this is a big organization, and it must be in solidarity. We cannot say that one of the confederations they shall be against FIFA or whatever. That's not possible. Solidarity is what makes football so interesting, and what makes football also in our world, connecting people, bringing people together, and giving to the world, this perturbed world we are living now, giving emotions, and we need emotions, and emotions are positive.
Yes.
So I'm sure that at the end of the day, with UEFA and the 5 other confederations, there will be a get-together, because for the benefit of football, whoever will be at the end then candidate or elected next year.
It always quite amuses me when people talk that we need a European to be president of FIFA. As far as I know, Switzerland's still in Europe. And
You're right. You're right.
The question also, if I may, of how FIFA benefits world football financially. I know you don't have the figures ready yet for the prosperity that comes from this World Cup, but can you give us a broad view of how FIFA helps football around the world, how it helps UEFA, for example, among other confederations, and how that's impacted on the way nations like Costa Rica have been able to bring their game up to World Cup level, the Ivory Coast competitive. I would suppose that a lot of credit would go to FIFA's investment in football in all parts of the world.
We have not the figures, but we have had a turnover of 4.5 billion US dollars now for the last 4 years, including the World Cup. The World Cup is the only income of FIFA.
Right.
And now it's a distribution of this money. But when you are speaking about the development, it's not from yesterday. When Dr. Havelange came into the presidency of FIFA in 74 and 75, when I started, it's now a long time ago, football is universal. It's a universal language. And we started the development of football. And now FIFA is investing a lot of money. I would say 70% of the income of FIFA is going back for development of football, organization of competitions. And then finally, when you speak about Costa Rica, that's an association that for years and years, they are doing a lot in development of youth football. They are doing in grassroots football. And finally, they are not only on the FIFA World Cup. Their team are in the under-17 and under-20 FIFA's youth competitions. And they just have organized an under-17 this year, an under-17 Women's World Cup in Costa Rica, Women's World Cup under-17. So it's not a surprise you just mentioned Costa Rica, because they are doing, and all other, a lot of other national associations, they try to imitate them and to say what they can do, we can also do, because it is a small country.
Can you do anything to improve England's football?
Listen, I cannot do that to improve because England is strong enough to do it. But I can tell you an anecdote which was we were evoking with Brazilian football. Because Brazilians now, they said, we have lost the years on developing of football. And then I said, but when João Havelange was the president and he told me, you make now development programs, you don't need to go to Brazil. They don't need development of football, but they needed development of football, and they will start again.
There you go. You've expressed the importance of the World Cup in every way, especially financially, for FIFA. And you've entrusted the next 2 World Cups to Qatar and Russia. Clearly there's been controversy in both areas. Could you talk to me about how confident you are that Qatar will be a success, if we can start with them, and also advise us on which time of the year the tournament will be played?
Well, listen, this is this meeting we have today. When I speak to you, it's today in Zurich. We have the meeting with the participants, or you call it stakeholders. Yeah. It's the Players Union, FIFPro. It's the clubs. It is the leagues, some federation, the 6 Continental Confederation of their Secretary Generals. They are there to work on this international calendar, and then to have a look, as we have already said, that we cannot play in summer in this heat in Qatar. Then we have to play in winter. And now we are making this consultation. But it's the first official consultation. So far, only the FIFA secretary, Sharon Valk, has made some contacts by telephone with different leagues. But now we bring them together, and we will identify now what is the best and what is the possible solution, when is the best moment to play in Qatar. But the decision is not yet taken, definitely not. And concerning the other one, the 218 in Russia, which is also in some, let's say, some problems actually, but the decisions have been taken, and we trust in the strengths of football that the 218 and 222 World Cups will be played. And speaking about Russia, and already some voices coming up to make a boycott or whatever. A boycott in sport never has had any benefit. So therefore, let us wait and see the development of the geopolitical situation, and we shall not intervene in politics. But for the time being, we are working with Russia. I have been there just a fortnight ago, or now 3 weeks ago. I have been there, and we have had a report on the stadia and the work they are doing, and they are on a good track.
It's been a strong point of yours that politics should not interfere with football. When politics interferes with individual associations, you take a very strong stand against that, and you're now being asked in a way to say we won't let the political thing interfere with the World Cup. There's a point of principle there as well as practicality, isn't there? That FIFA should be able to conduct its affairs without that kind of interference.
Absolutely. And when you speak about our intervention, we have now a problem, which is a decision just has been taken concerning Nigeria, because there was really a political interference. But on the other hand, FIFA can help to find a solution in the benefit of football. And we did it in the island of Cyprus, where now the Greek part and the Turkish part, they can play football, club football, amongst them. There is no more wall in between. This is a benefit of football that has helped that. We are trying to help and to bring a solution, which is now really, really difficult, but we go on between Israel and the Palestine. Yes. So here football can help, but football cannot be, let's say, the driving force to try to find political solutions, because what is the aim of football is to work for a better world. And this is what we are doing and trying with all the development programs.
So you'll have to keep an eye, if I can conclude Russia, you'll have to keep an eye on what is happening in the east there. But
yeah, absolutely. We are monitoring all that, but we are not interfering. For the time being, we are strong to maintain the organization of the World Cup 218 in Russia, and the other one 222 in Qatar. Concerning Qatar, we still await also the report of FIFA's ethics committee. They have made an in-depth the investigation, and we are waiting the results of this during this month or the next month.
So it's fairly imminent. Is he satisfied, Mr. Garcia, with the responses he's had now that his information is complete?
Ask him. Ask him, because really this ethics committee is totally independent, and Mr. Garcia does not like, even if the president should ask him what he's doing and what is coming out. But anyway, for the procedure, we have to say that Mr. Garcia, he is the chair of the investigatory chamber, and the investigatory chamber will give the report to the tribunal, and this tribunal, the adjudicatory chamber, and this is another boss there, and he's a high judge of Bavaria, and this is Mr. Eckert, and finally he has then to take the decision, and the decision will then be communicated to the FIFA Executive Committee, and then to the vote.
You appear very comfortable with this being a completely independent inquiry. There's going to be transparent. Is that in some ways a rebuke to the people who cast aspersions on the Qatari bid decision, the talk of allegations of corruption, none of which relate to you at all, but you're very happy to accept completely independent?
Yeah, absolutely, and this was my idea in 2011 when FIFA was under threat and attacks and criticism. Then I said at this committee, no, at the Congress 2011 here in Zurich, at the end of the Congress, I said we will have an independent committee for ethics with 2 chambers. We already had a committee, but it was not independent. And we have started with the work. We have also started in transparency, because we also wanted to have a committee for control and compliance, which is also installed now. And transparency and ethics are 2 items that we need in our world, and especially in the world of football, when we take the big figures in football, 300 million active participants with their families, 1.2 billion, there cannot all be angels around there.
Can we, on Qatar, there's been criticism also of its selection as a small Gulf state and the location of stadia and the kind of impact it will have. We saw a fantastic cultural experience in Brazil. Tell me how confident you are of the success of a World Cup in that environment.
Well, listen, in the rotation of the World Cup, it was obvious that one day we should give the World Cup also to the Arabic world. And then it was a decision taken on the 2nd of December in 2010 by an executive committee which was reduced to 22 members at that time. And this was a democratic decision taken by secret ballot. And this was the decision. And now we have to make the best of it in order to show that also a small country can deliver a World Cup.
Yes.
It's a challenge.
It is a challenge. I understand the missionary zeal aspect of it, of taking football around the world. It complicates things for you in some ways, because there's inevitably criticism from the bigger areas of football. The old powers want more World Cups for themselves. But the missionary aspect trumps pretty well everything in that decision, doesn't it? The need to expand the game to all corners and to improve it.
Especially the World Cup. And with the other competitions, we are going to smaller countries. And one revolutionary decision we have taken in FIFA is to play the Under-17 Women's World Cup, Under-17, in 2016, in the middle of the Arabic world in Jordan, in the Kingdom of Jordan. And this will be, when you look at just now at the international map, geopolitical map, and we are going to play there a women's competition, this will have a big impact on the whole region and on the development of women's football, but also on the development of women in the other culture, which is the Islamic culture.
I would believe that's true, because FIFA now is a medium-sized government, and governments can have beneficial or poor influences. And if you can achieve some kind of breakthrough in that area, it would be quite something for football, wouldn't it?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, and this is the aim behind that. This is the aim.
There's been one suggestion that some of the bigger clubs, for example, in Europe, might ask their players to boycott the national teams and not play in a World Cup if there were still problems when these tournaments came around. Personally, I don't see any prospect, particularly after Brazil, of any great players in Europe saying they don't want to play in the World Cup, but I'd be interested in your impression of that.
I was a player, but not a player at the level of the World Cup. But I think the players, they want to go to the World Cup, and they would not deliberately to say we are not going to the highlight of our career. Everybody wants to play in the World Cup.
Yes,
I think a boycott by the players, no, I don't believe that.
It's, every time I see you, Sepp, you have a happy demeanour, an optimistic demeanour, and yet you've been subjected to some very unpleasant criticism and insinuations. How do you deal with that? Do you weary of, for example, the Sunday Times allegations, which find nothing against you concrete, but would try to draw you into a web of some imagined corruption on your part? How do you deal with that, and how do you feel about that, and the English attitude towards
listen,
FIFA?
I call to all these people or colleagues. I'm still member of the International Sports Writer Organization, AIPS.
Yes.
Now as an honorary member, I just ask a little bit more respect and fair play, and perhaps also the truth. But this is not so easy because it's not a good information. But just fair play and respect. And if you ask me how I deal with that, at the beginning it was very heavy and I was suffering. But now my situation has been cleared and cleaned by all possible means, outside of FIFA, inside of FIFA. So therefore, I am confident, and I am going forward like an optimist. And just to say, optimists, they live better, and perhaps they live longer.
We're talking to a predominantly English audience here, although there's a big international flavour, of course, to Soccerex, but a domestic interest in England now, with Soccerex being in Manchester. How did you feel about the FA chairman Greg Dyke's outburst in São Paulo at the convention? Did that damage English football in any way, and did it reduce the prospects for England getting more influence in world football? So for one outburst, did we sacrifice something there that we should be really concentrating on achieving?
No, definitely not. I think, I know Greg Dyke. He's a man of communication. He is a man who is really in all the media. He knows how it works. And if he has an outburst once, and so what? I still respect him because I think he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And when we will meet together, I think he will, perhaps he will, I don't know, but he will not say the same thing now. No. I'm sure not. I
think a lot of us were surprised that he then went on to exclude an English bid while you were president, which seems to me, for the World Cup of course, which seems to me to be counterproductive. Whenever the World Cup is going to come around to Europe again, one would have supposed that England would want to be considered. What do you make of that?
Well, listen, this is, we could make a philosophy about the declarations of people. They are not happy in a situation. So I just recall them. I just recall something. In football, this game, when you start to play at the youngest possible level, you learn discipline, respect, and fair play. So if you, at the higher level, you forgot that this is discipline, respect, and fair play, you forgot it. But that at least don't forget that in football you learn to win, but also to lose.
Yes.
So therefore, I appeal to all those that to go back to the essence of football, and then you learn to lose. I have lost a lot of times, but if you lose, then you stay there and you try to be better. And then stay fair. That's all. And fair play was invented by England, Great Britain. The beautiful game in fair play. So let's celebrate fair play.
So you would encourage England to continue to bid to stage World Cups, and there would be no impediment as far as no inbuilt impediment to England achieving that.
No,
ambition
it's not
with
important who is the president, and it's not. Who is the president of FIFA? No, if England wants to have, again, and they want to have a competition, then they bid, whoever is the president of FIFA.
Yes.
And they should be a little bit, let's say what I say, to listen about what is called fair play.
Get to football, which we both love above the politics. What is Germany won the World Cup, impressive. There were some outstanding individual performances. Who do you regard now as not just the great teams and players in the world, which would be interesting to know, but who are the ones who are going to set the trends and set the standards for what greatness is in football?
I think this World Cup has shown, and I will be happy to have the reports of all the regional assessments they are doing now for the World Cup. There is now one just going on in Kuala Lumpur for Asia, but especially the one which will be organized in St. Petersburg for Europe this month, I think, or next month, to see what is the trend for football. And I'm sure the specialists in football, I have not abandoned now the field of play, but I cannot say now I'm the big specialist of football. But those, they really know football, they will say we should maintain what has been done in the first round of the World Cup in Brazil. It means to go the game forward, to go for goal. And this is the attractivity of our game. And this will also give, let's say, the idea of a better respect. You know that there has been less foul play in the World Cup in Brazil than in the other World Cups. Less foul play, it means the better behavior of the players against the referees or with the referees, decisions of referees. And this is very important. Also, it was in a high rhythm played. There have been less injuries. That means players are better prepared, but better prepared mentally to not commit foul play.
Some people have suggested there was greater tolerance from the referees, but I presume you can use the injury statistic against that, that fouls were not being committed with the same severity.
No. Because at a certain time, journalists said, why no yellow card, yellow card, yellow card? No, it was a respect. Players respected the referees respected the players, and this gave this great spectaculum which we have just lifted up.
The game will have to move on, and we know it's going on to Russia and Qatar. Where is football going after that, the World Cup after that? There have been certain suggestions. For example, does Australia get its chance at some point? Do you need to go that far into the Southern Hemisphere? I'll give you the list to start with, and then we can work through individually if you prefer. Uruguay, great history in the game, but a very small country. Difficult for them to host a World Cup.
Uruguay, Argentina.
Uruguay, Argentina together. Perhaps there's a big commercial opportunity arising now in the United States because of the tremendous television audiences that are booming, that the World Cup has also encouraged within their own domestic game as well. We did well with football in the first time it went to the United States, but the opportunities are bigger now. Could you just have a look at those possibilities for me as to where the World Cup might travel from Qatar?
Can you ask me this question in 4 years?
No, I'll give you 4 years to think of an answer.
No, but you know, if we look at the rotation of the World Cup, then it should go or to Africa, back to Africa, or to go to the Americas.
Yes.
And as we have been in the South America, so I think North America has a better chance than South America. If I'm looking on the let's say the logical of the turnaround of the World Cup.
And the Uruguay, Argentina. I know you were against combined bids, but it worked well in South Korea and Japan, didn't
Well,
it?
anyway, this was a decision taken by FIFA's executive committee. If there is one single organizer, it's better to have it. This was also made the decision of 2018. The double bidders that
Yes.
were eliminated.
Looking forward to a potential next 4-year term, we've achieved goal line technology. I believe you're very happy with goal line technology now. What's the next reform? What's the next step in the improvement of football?
But the next step, I will propose it to the international board, the association board, and we have now 2 chambers in this board, a technical one and a refereeing one, to try to bring this so-called call that the coaches or team managers, they have to write in the half, twice or once to have a call. It means to challenge.
To challenge referees' decisions quickly.
A refereeing decision, but only when the game is stopped.
Yes.
Then there must be a monitor, a television monitor, but by the television company and not by another referee. And then the referee and the coach, they are going to look at, and the referee may then change his mind, as it is the case in tennis, for instance.
Yes, but that's interesting because in American football, for example, the chief referee figure does not go and look at the evidence. That's done by someone off the pitch, as it is in cricket, for example. It is referred to an extra umpire or referee. But you're going to engage the referee in that process. He can look at.
Yeah, he can look at, yeah. Because he has to make the decision that it was wrong.
Yes.
He has to change it.
Well, how soon do we think we might have that functioning?
So I will bring it to the attention, and perhaps we will find a league, professional or semi-professional league. They will try to do it. It can only be done where there is television coverage of all the matches. Or in one FIFA's competition, we can try in a youth competition in FIFA to do so. And under 20, like next year we are in the under 20 in New Zealand. So we could test such a challenge calls.
A particular bugbear of mine is the use of the arms. Sometimes in the penalty areas especially, football becomes an arm game, a wrestling match. Is there anything we can do about that?
That's it's in the opinion of the referee, and the referee will decide what he wants to do. But
guidelines.
Yeah, this is international board shall give some guidelines on that, because really, especially in a situation where there is a free kick from 35 or 40 meters, then it's this wrestling. This is not good. It does not look good, and it's not correct.
No. In terms of good the game can do, I believe you're very concerned still about the issue of racism in football and how that can help be solved, and you might have to be quite radical in how you amend the laws on that.
Yeah, in the Congress 2013 on the island of Maurice, there was a unanimous resolution taken by the FIFA Congress to go against racism and discrimination. And there is a catalogue of sanctions And in this catalogue of sanctions is also mentioned the deduction of points or elimination of a team when it is in a cup competition, or even the relegation of a team in another league. And I always say, if once now in future one of the committees, control committees or disciplinary committees of a league or a federation or a confederation or even FIFA would have the courage to put such a sanction to deduct 2 points or 3 points, then it would stop. I'm sure it would stop, because with pecuniary sanctions or to kill part of the spectators, not the spectators, but the space of the spectators, or an empty stadium, this is not the solution. This is not the solution.
If supporters know that they'll suffer in the competition, there is the slight danger of perhaps rival supporters infiltrating, say, the home group and giving the pretense that the other team's supporters are responsible. How do we deal with that?
Well, listen, this is naturally a situation that have to be carefully analyzed, and for that we have then our different committees to do so. So I can give the principles how it should be done, but then we have the administration at a different level to implement it. So
you'd increase the scrutiny.
Yeah,
of the fans.
Or to use the personnel, the security personnel that anyway is in a stadium to do that.
And to
but
assess.
It's not so easy.
No,
it's not so easy.
But I think in everything there's always risks at the start, aren't there?
Yeah, you have to take a risk. If you never take a risk, you will never have a chance.
Well, you took a risk on changing from being a journalist to a FIFA executive. If you have one great thing you'd like to see happen for the improvement of football over the next 4.5 years, what would that be?
So in football, of the field of play, I think we are never on the top, but we are on a good level now to maintain this good level. But I would like to see is that football can play in our society a more important social, cultural part in education, and then to bring the elements of football, the good elements of football, discipline, fair play, and respect into our society directly, in the families, at school level, in the business, and why not in the politics. And this would be then the end of my mission.
Okay. Well, we wish you good luck with that, and I'm sure everyone joins in that. And in wishing you good health and good fortune in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.